Boom, we are live. Welcome to Tokyo Tonight. This is me suffering from a little bit of butakusa, hay fever. I get autumn hay fever in Japan, and it's kind of bad at the moment, so I apologize for that. I hope you're all well, and it's good to be back. First time back in a while on this. I've been away for 2 weeks in Seattle. I talked a bit about that last night. Yeah, lots to catch up on. Hope you guys are all well. Great to see so many people in. Looks like people have been missing their Tokyo Tonight. Already a lot of comments there. Let's see who's here. We've got Nicholas Rapp, Robert Old Dude, Fox Morris, Kang and Kodos. Happy start of Daylight Saving, by the way, there in the Southern Hemisphere. Icarus 18, Mr. Gordy Chep, Robert Old Dude, I think I said. Andy-san, Matagajinka. We got Phoenix, Sergeant Bilko. We got lots of cool people here. That is awesome to see all you guys. Man, I gotta blow my nose already. I'm sorry about this. It could have been the flight, but yeah, I've been taking some anti-allergy medicine as well. So yes, I'm still a bit jet lagged. I guess it's easier coming back than it is going there. It took a long time to adjust to being in the US. Time-wise, it's easier on the way back. You get more sleep. It's just it feels like the middle of the night at the moment. Oh, there are those Facebook 10, iOS 10 notifications. So let's see what's going on. It's good to see you all. And yes, one thing I want to shout out, I might have put the link in here yet. My good friend Ace, Henna Gaijin, he's starting a new series soon. He just put the preview up on his Henna Gaijin channel. He's doing a new season. The first season was on Japan, the second season was on Singapore, the third season of Henna Gaijin is going to be on New Zealand, Aotearoa. And yeah, this guy went all through high school with. He was my first roommate in college. He's a producer for Nat Geo and Discovery Channel. And he's gone in for solo, gone in film. First time he's ever recorded a whole documentary series purely on his own. And he's done this off New Zealand, and it looks really, really awesome. So if you're not subscribed to Henna Gaijin, look it up. Henna Gaijin, What Really Matters. It should be starting soon, and the new season looks like it is going to be awesome. Hey Ben Duncan, yes, I know how awesome you are. I do, and we need to catch up. By the way, Ben, I'm sorry I've been all over the place lately, but I've been meaning to get back to you about that. Hey, good to see Ty. Midori. I skipped a few people actually catching up. Oh god, this is going to be miserable. Hopefully when I get talking I won't need to blow my nose so much. But yeah, great to see you people. Phoenix, the new 7 Plus this week. Well, I've already got the 7, that's what you're looking at the moment. It's not that different actually. I guess the 7 Plus is kind of cool. You get that fake depth of field thing, which is kind of cool. But yes, Nippon Culture Quest, great to see you. Let's get into it. This is all the advantages of Amazon Prime in Japan, which I've been weighing up. Using them all, including the movies and stuff like that. So I'll have a look at that in time. 7 burger places in Tokyo. These are not selected, by the way, so I'm just going to go through these at random and pick out ones that look interesting. Yes, 7 places in Tokyo when you're craving burgers. I looked at this. I didn't really think Firehouse #1 is pretty good, and Hongo. The other ones not so much. I think they had Shake Shack, which was it was alright. What else they got here? I don't know this one. Well, that doesn't look that good. Munch's Burger Shack and Shibakoin. Shake Shack, Yokozuna Burger. I like to check some of these, but yeah, some of these are in like Sangenjaya and Yoga. They're a bit far away. I don't know why that one's only in kanji. You can call it Yoga. But anyway, this is pretty good. This was posted by Lindsay Nishizawa on Facebook today. I have to blow my nose again, I'm sorry. And this is kind of a good take on all the news that's been coming out about how Japan has suddenly become sexless. And why those stories are coming out or what they're based upon. Oh, so it's interesting to see for one thing. By the way, this is from Philip Brazer, who's one of the better columnists, and he's kind of all over the place. He mentions, as I often talk about, how copy editors in newspapers overseas, they want news just to order about Japan. They want to talk about You know, they want to talk about weird Japan. They want stories that confirm the biases people already have, because those are stories that people will click on and read, and I get that. You know, they've got ads, they've got to pay the bills. And one of the big ones to come up lately is this whole idea that Japan has stopped having sex, which isn't really true, and it kind of talks about how that came to be. Kind of goes through at length, but basically it goes through it meets the author who capitalized who said, hey, good to see Razo Gul's there, who coined the term herbivore men and carnivore women, soshoku danshi, nikushoku joshi, and it's down here, and it's basically partly based on some misinterpretation of some stats and some government in a government survey, and partly on some misinterpretation of that term, where this woman sort of said it's not that men have lost their sex drive per se, it's just that they're less aggressive than they have been in the past. About getting it, you know, Japanese men are no longer necessarily the sexist, bum slapping, you know, men, sexual harassing people that they once were. And you know, this is kind of looked upon as a bad thing, or interpreted as a sign that Japanese society has become less interested in sex, which the person who coined the term says she's being totally misunderstood about that. It's just that in a way you could say that society is becoming softer, men are becoming more considerate, and women are taking the more proactive approach. I'm trying not to pay attention to the comments here. I don't know what prompted some of those, but there we go. Did I catch cheeseburgeritis in America? By about the second day, I didn't really want to look at another Egg McMuffin hamburger sandwich cross. But yes. oh, thank you for the heads up about my echo, and I think you were right. They shouldn't be picking that up, but thank you for that. I will turn off the echo. Thank you for that. 3-year-old dudes, what does it make someone who is an omnivore? That's a good question. I guess somebody who can be either one in the right time, but yeah. Put my volume up. My volume is already showing pretty decent on the side here. So Felix is saying, at the same time, women here keep complaining about Japanese men. Well, women who would talk to foreign guys and who are into foreign guys are generally going to be more likely to criticize local guys. So this is distracting. The problem is that if there is now echoing, it's gone now. Oh, thank you for that. Yes, because otherwise I will get distracted for the whole thing. Maybe I should have gone across the border. Maybe I should have had some Canadian burgers. Maybe that was it. So yeah, I think you're always going to meet people who complain about the other sex, especially if they're women who are interested in foreigners. I think it's very true that Japanese women are proactive, and I guess that is probably maybe that's a sign of the times that men have become less aggressive. I don't know, but the point that they're making here is one, that the idea that men have somehow lost their sex drives was wrong in the first place. It's just that the culture of going out has changed, and I think that's probably true. It's probably true not just here, actually. And the other point is that the idea that Japan is sexless. I mean, again, the responses to this down the bottom were really, really interesting, and how this is something not exclusive to Japan at all either. So, you know, it's an interesting topic, and again, there's a lot of it's become kind of almost like a meme. How this is something that Japan's supposed to be that was never true in the first place. So yeah. Anyway, so where to buy you can hear my bar fridge. Someone can hear my bar fridge. I will get better. Where to buy a turkey in Tokyo? This is for you Americans and Canadians. Canadian Thanksgiving, I think it comes before the American one. Makes sense. Canadians generally are more thankful first. I got one of these in America. They were pretty cool. This is like $80. I use it for work. These are interesting links in Japanese, which how much salary you need to be earning to have 2 kids, cool tires, new Star Wars stuff. Again, I wasn't choosing, so I'm totally going to skip through these more. This is kind of interesting. Yeah, they've kind of screwed up with the intern program a little bit, and Japan is looking for foreign farmers, because I think the average age now of farmers is like in the 70s in Japan. The intern program was supposed to promote that, but of course it's just been a program to promote, slave labor pretty much, and has probably thoroughly discouraged that from happening. Razogul, RIP headphone users, are you talking about the iPhone 7? Well, I must admit I've run into some inconvenience with not being able to plug in a headphone when I've wanted to at times, but there again, I'm gonna get the AirPods when they come out, so we'll see. But yeah, with the farmer thing, if you want to be a farmer, I know a couple of foreign or at least half Japanese who have come to Japan and become farmers. Heaps of subsidy money, it's pretty good, but at the same time it's pretty hard to come and set up with all this sort of stuff, and it's not an easy system to get into, I suppose. But there again, the government's trying to figure out ways to promote legit farmers. This is pretty cool. Utada Hikaru, her first album in years, she's put out, is number 6 on the US charts, and this is singing in Japanese. I think it says 2 things. One, it says one, it's kind of awesome. I think it reflects the growing appreciation and internationalization of the American music market, that they can appreciate a foreign artist like Utada Hikaru, who's very, very good. I think it also represents the shrinking of the US music market, and possibly the degree of crap that's in it. That something like this is able to rise this high, in terms of, it would have been flooded out probably, when the charts were a bit healthier. But there again, it's great, I haven't actually heard the new album, but I know she's a great artist, and it's great to see her come back, and I think it's great news. And in the context of how many people have tried for so long to break into the US charts and be successful, very deliberately. Utada Hikaru, of course, is a Kikoku Shijo. She lived for many, many years in America and was raised in America by her mum. So no one better, perhaps, in some ways, to promote and do well in America, but very, very good to see her do it. I look forward to checking out the album. I don't know if anyone here has checked this out, but yeah, anyway, it's a very rare achievement. Not many people have done it in many years of trying in America. What else we got here? We got the vice governor of Tokyo has apologized for the whole mess with Tokyo. And again, I'm still partly trying to keep up with this. Let me come back with this for a minute. So what's happening is that it's becoming clear. Koike has come in, the new governor's come in, basically threatening to flip over the tables and show up how mismanaged Tokyo's been run. And if you want to look under rocks, it's been pretty easy to do. And the 2 main examples of how Tokyo's been misrun has been the Olympics, of course, the preparations, which are already 3 times overspent. Hey, good to see Lara there. Yeah, good to see a bunch of people. You got Wikipedia, or is she not in here? But good to see all you guys. So there's 2 ways. One is the Olympics, which is like already 3 times over cost, and it's probably going to go higher. And the second one is the Toyosu fish market, which was due to actually start operating, I think, from the start of September. But they ignored things like the soil pollution levels, the design to avoid risk of contamination of fish and so on. They kind of cut a lot of corners, and the whole thing's been a bit of a train wreck. And she's had a lot of a good time showing up how terrible the people running Tokyo were by showing all of this up. It's going to be interesting to see what kind of backlash there eventually is to this, because she's upset a lot of people. But at the same time, they declared war on her before she became governor. So I guess that she had every incentive to go all out, and as a result, the vice governor, not the current governor, who's the one uncovering all of this, the person who was in charge of these projects at the time, has issued an apology. It's kind of interesting for what's going on with Tokyo. So this is kind of cool. There is a freelance journalist in Tokyo, not Jake Handelstein, another one called Richard Smart, who is quite different a person, actually. I've been following him on Twitter for many, many years, and I quite like the way that he writes. He writes for a variety of publications. and I find he's generally pretty good and pretty switched on. He reached out to me to explain to him sort of how YouTube works and how YouTubers make money and what's going on with the Japan YouTube scene. And I met with him for the first time, actually, although I've been kind of a fan of him since the earthquake in 2011, so a long time now. And we had a great conversation, and many parts of that conversation were included in this article that he wrote for the Foreign Correspondence Club of Japan, talking about how YouTube is influencing media through international YouTubers. A little bit of drama has emerged around this, by the way. My part's totally not controversial, and Chris Broad also gave some comments on this. He had trouble. He reached out correctly, probably to the purported talent agency of Lara. It's just allergies. I've got hay fever at the moment. It's okay. So yeah, he was reaching out to the person who held themselves out as the talent agent of Rachel and Jun, Shala and Michaela, I think, and spoke on their behalf and gave quotes, even though it turns out some of them are actually no longer with him. So I've seen a bit of displeasure over that on Twitter, but the article itself is very good. And I'm not just saying that because I was extensively quoted, and a lot of the material is based on information that I provided. It's actually pretty good. The guy's actually quite a good journalist, and he's worth following on Twitter, Tokyo Rich. I give my own take on YouTube's place in the media and what I try to do, and how. And Chris Broad also explains a lot about how the big channels get to be big and how they make their money and so on. It's a very good read. I tweeted this the other day. This is in my, if you go to my Flipboard anyway, my public one, I think, well, you know what, it's not actually in my magazines, but you can find this on my Twitter or on my Facebook. I put this on Facebook, so it's easy to find, and it's pretty good. What else we got here? Sweden. Sergeant Bilko, you might be interested in this. I didn't know this. After 8 years of getting rid of mandatory national service, military service, they are reinstating it, which I find really interesting. I wonder if it's got anything to do with integrating immigrants. I don't know. That's something I can imagine it could be good for, but it is surprising. I mean, again, I grew up in a military family, and yet I couldn't imagine living in a country where it's mandatory for everybody to have to join the military. But of course, a lot of European countries still do this. Korea does it. Taiwan does it. But Japan and New Zealand, I could never really imagine it. So yeah. ASWX16LRST, you can type in Japanese, and I don't mind. Nihongo ga chotto dake dekiru. Yeah, go ahead, write in Japanese. I can respond to you if you want to do it that way, whatever you want to do. Yes. Why English-speaking foreigners cling to English while... Someone there said something interesting. Let's go back up there. Who was that? Tatsuji Yoshimura. Why English-speaking foreigners cling to English while knowing, discussing, and making sense of news in Japan? That's a good question, Tatsuji. Let me address that. 日本語で、まずは日本語でちょっと回答するけど、日本語でライブするとまずはあんまり回答してコメントとかなんかインタラクションしてくれる人はいなくて、あと本当は2つの番組やりたいんだけど時間が限定されてるのもあって、しかも日本の、趣味としても毎日日本のニュースいろんな読売新聞、朝日新聞、NHK とかネットのニュースとかこういう日本語のニュースも見て集めてるから、これをもって日本に住んでる外人としてその英語のニュースってかなりなんか出してる人が偏ってる、なんか限定してるし、意見がかなり偏ってるかと思ってるんで、そのニュースに興味ある人にちゃんと住んでる人の観点としてもっとバランス取った見解がしたいんだ。つまり日本に興味がある外国人とか海外の CNN とか BBC で日本のニュースだけ見てる人にはあまり十分日本理解できてないのかなと思って、それで日本の読んで理解した人としてもっと十分に説明を加えてなんか促したいという趣旨で英語でやってるんですよ。つまり英語だけでニュース読んでるわけじゃなくて、基本的に日本語で集めてるんだけど、日本がもっとよく理解してくれるようにこういう記事が英語だけどこれがいい、これはあんまり無視した方がいいとかってそういう意見を出してこの番組やってます。That's a bit of a Japanese thing for you, Tatsuji. So basically what I'm just saying is that I follow all sorts of Japanese media in English and Japanese. Lots of perspectives. I find the English coverage of news in Japan is often a little bit one-sided or narrow or doesn't provide sufficient context, and that's what I try to offer with this. I try to help people who can't access Japanese media or don't live here a little bit of a deeper perspective on Japan, and try to foster a better understanding, which I assume is what you guys want anyway. I mean, because there's a lot of people who are very interested in Japan. I try to help out with that. So that is why I do this in English. And I hope that that was interesting to you, Tatsuji-san. I'm too lazy to do another show in Japanese. I really would. If there were more hours in the day, I would have done this in Japanese as well, but I don't get as much interaction with it, and I'm tired. So there you go. So I try to save all of you guys the trouble of getting to be as good as I am from being in Japan for 20 years by just giving you the quick summary in English. That's what I do. This was interesting. There was a this is I think from this is from Nichan summary. But this is the defense minister, Inada. She's quite sort of right-wing, and she was interrogated by the Democrat Party's Tsujimoto, who's known for her aggressive questioning in Parliament, and was asked basically 3 lines of questioning, which resulted in her crying. And it was kind of how could I put it? It was kind of cynical questioning in some ways. She was asked 3 sort of questions, and they were: one was Yasukuni, one was South Sudan's rules of engagement, because apparently some SDF people got into some shooting there lately. This one focuses mainly on the Yasukuni question. There was one other, just about her role as defense minister, that I can't remember. But in any case, they tried to corner her, and they asked her, why didn't you go to Yasukuni Shrine this year? Which is kind of ironic, because Tsujimoto is from a former socialist party and she absolutely would disapprove of it. I think the reason she was asking the question was that she was trying to get Inada to say it would be inappropriate for the minister to go to Yasukuni, which is pretty much the consensus on cabinet ministers and why they don't go, even though she would like to go. 071, my surfer California accent was probably due to my hay fever. So the point is, she said that she would really like to go, and she feels as the person responsible for defending Japan, and that she needs to pay her respects to those who died defending Japan. And she started crying. She got all choked up in the middle of responding to that. Clearly, Tsujimoto, the person who was asking, wouldn't have wanted her to go to Yasukuni and would have condemned her for going. So then attacking her for not going was kind of a little bit cynical, as the people point out. She was kind of doomed either way that she answered it. She responded by getting upset, and probably got some sympathy from people who already think that government ministers should go to Yasukuni Jinja. Anyway, it's kind of interesting seeing how she responds to getting grilled, and it's probably going to get more aggressive, so it's going to be interesting. She remains a controversial figure because she has very, very pronounced nationalist views. That said, she hasn't done anything sort of batshit crazy yet. She didn't go. She did pull out of a trip to South Sudan, which I thought was a little bit weak. And I really wonder about whether she's really qualified for the role that she's in. But that said, it's kind of interesting to see how these things will play out in Parliament. What else have we got here? We've got Thailand. They've confirmed now head shrunken babies from Zika. That's kind of freaky. Now this is Sergeant Bilko showed me. Can I see the original one? Yes, he put on a. In fact, did I think I put on the original article for this, so you might get to it. But Sekiguchi Ami, she does. I've already been in the YouTube space when she was doing 3D modeling. You can do 3D like with a 3D pen that uses kind of hot. What would you call it? It looks like candy that you can do drawings with, and she was actually able to do like a 3D horse. I saw her doing it live, and she's really, really good at it, and it's not easy to do. I thought that was awesome. I had no idea. I don't follow her channel that closely. I'm subscribed to it, but I just don't keep up. I saw her painting. She's got a whole playlist of her doing virtual reality painting of 3D objects, and it's really, really cool and really awesome. I mean, she's actually apart from the fact she's obviously quite cute and quite, exactly what you should be to be successful on YouTube, she's also quite artistically talented. Her stuff is really awesome, and she does it all by herself. So that was super impressive. Yeah, Sergeant Bilko, he sent me a link of a playlist of her stuff where she was doing these virtual reality paintings in 3D, and they are really, really good. So that's why what I was talking about, awesome there. California's allowing unmanned cars to drive around pretty soon. That's pretty good. Yeah, and she's quite good at acting too, indeed. The 3D pens, thank you, Oyajis. Not to mention she's super smart and talented. Indeed, I think she could be up for a Nobel Prize. I mean, she's actually very, very impressive. That's the point. And the fact that she does this, which I didn't know about, in addition to all the cool things that I did know about, it's pretty cool. This is pretty cool. This is so America's getting a mini NES, the original Nintendo, which has pre-installed a bunch of original NES games and the original controllers. Well, Japan had a different version, the family computer, the Famicom, and this is what it was. And Japan is releasing a miniature version of that as well. This is like going to be $50. It's going to contain like a whole crap load of games. I haven't seen this yet, but it looks like it's going to be really, really cool. Might be worth getting. So yeah, it sounds like a lot of people are going to be keen to probably parallel import this from Japan, and why not? It looks awesome. Astronomy stuff, because I love that. Japan is going to be late signing the new climate agreement, which, given that the original climate agreement, the Kyoto Protocol, was named after Japan, looks a little bit lame. What can you do? Hotels to accept Google and Apple payment systems. That's interesting. Anime industry up 12%. It's kind of not thought of as an industry in decline, but I guess this shows probably the international support for the industry, which again I got reminded of when I was over in America, just how many people are really into anime culture, even from abroad. This was kind of disturbing. There's a hospital ward in Yokohama where 2 people were found to have been poisoned. The same ward apparently in the last few months has had like 150 people die. The hospital is maintaining that there's nothing unusual about that, but some tabloid reporters were caught trying to take smartphone photos of the ward, and they were arrested. So it looks like the hospital has been very defensive about not letting anybody come and have a look at this ward where people, it sounds like, lots of people may have been murdered. It's kind of creepy, and we'll have to find out what happens about that. But they're not letting anyone come and look anyway. The new the new DJI drone, kind of stealing the thunder of the GoPro one. By the way, I'm really interested in getting the GoPro Hero 5, the new one, for the lad. I think it makes sense as a kid, as a kid camera, which I can maybe use as well, so that'll be pretty cool. If you want to buy stocks, they're doing pretty well in Japan. I had a good shot. Gimmeabreakman last night. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, there will be another Creator Day event, and the new Creator Day events, there's going to be another English one. The last one I think was 10,000 subs or above, or something that was quite high, but the next one is going to be 1,000 to 50,000, which should allow more people to participate. The last one was really, really awesome. So I got it confirmed today by YouTube. We talked about this during the show last night. I didn't get to go to the massive YouTube conference in San Francisco that I was invited to as an ambassador. But Victor got to go along. But I have just heard from YouTube that we're going to talk about setting a new date for me to host a new Creator Day. And yes, indeed. It looks like a lot more of the people here are going to be able to participate next time, and it was really, really good last time. So 1,000 to 50,000 subs, you can sign up for the next Creator Day. Look out for details coming soon, and it's going to be awesome. The last one was really, really good, actually. Basically, we give you the secret sauce of how to make a living off YouTube based on the latest sort of inside tricks about how to utilize analytics, best practices, and so on. So Kerberos Stitch, you've got 100. You got to put more cats on Roombas. I think that's the formula. Just keep doing it until you get to 1,000, and then you can go. So there you go. Phoenix really wants to go, so we'll see how it goes. It'll be probably in November, but we'll have to watch this space for me to announce a date. And we might get to do more of those if the next ones are as successful as the previous ones. So that's pretty cool. Has nothing to do with the story that I'm showing at the moment. What else we got here? We're going to find out what color dinosaurs were. I still can't quite get over them having feathers, but what can you do? They're big stupid birds, I guess. The iPhone is indeed noisier. You could always kind of take photos and make it not quite so obnoxious by pressing really hard on the bottom of the phone. You can cover up the speaker, but now the speakers are actually underneath the screen. It's really hard now, so it is pretty loud and obnoxious. There's going to be a new Next Up competition if you would like to get personally coached on how to become a full-time professional YouTuber, and Tokyo is included in the next round of YouTube Next Up entries. So go and have a look. There is a minimum subscription threshold, which I believe is quite high as well. But it's a very popular program. What is the criteria? We've got Next Up Tokyo, Japan. Where are the criteria selected? So basically, if you get selected, you'll get a $2,500 voucher for equipment and so on. Check if you're qualified by checking out all the credits here. So let's go and see what the qualification criteria are, if it's here. In fact, it's not readily available here, so you can have a look, but I think you've got to have a fair amount, at least like 10,000 subscribers to be able to apply. But if you do, you get like weeks of training and so on, and it's a pretty good program. But a lot of Megwin, a lot of the biggest channels on YouTube, in Japan started out on this program. So, it's worth getting into it if you're really serious about that. Hey, Andrea, good to see you. What else we got here? Twitch. So they're pretty serious if you're into watching gaming videos. Oh dear. If you have Amazon Prime, you'll be able to watch it ad-free, which I guess is pretty cool. It's kind of interesting to see how they're building out Twitch. I thought for a time that YouTube had bought Twitch. I certainly think that YouTube should be getting some of their features. They've got good. I like the live commentary sort of features that they have, even on something like this. It doesn't have to be games. So yeah, Lara has a question. Is it true that mobile phones you buy in Japan cannot switch off the camera shutter sound? Well, why would you want to shut off the camera shutter sound? Where would you want to take secret photos of people? Theoretically, it's not a law or anything like that. It's not actually legislation. That article actually, which I tweeted back here on Engadget, this talks about the whole thing in Japan. I didn't know this. I assumed it was actually the law that it had to make a noise. It is not, but it's like a voluntary industry standard, and it's because of this Japanese industry standard that Apple makes the iPhone in America also noisy. There is actually a bug at the moment that you can actually mute the camera sound, apparently, and there are some settings which explain how to do that on iOS 10. However, yes, how would you put this? As I understand, there are apps that will delay the sound. This is something that Bio uses. So you take a photo here, go like this, and then turn away, and then it makes it look like you're taking a photo somewhere else. There are also apps which are called manner camera apps, which are basically used by perverts, from what I understand. They do things like they shoot a video or something, or they suppress the sound of the shutter, although they won't take quite as high resolution photos. And it is effing annoying. I completely agree. So there are kind of ways to do it. The only surefire way to do it is to jailbreak your phone, which in itself presents a lot of problems. So without jailbreaking your phone, basically you're kind of stuck with the noise, and I kind of get used to it. But yeah, it is. Every phone in Japan has this, and it's because of the perverts taking photos on train problem, unfortunately. Yeah, there was TwitchCon, and it's interesting to see how they're starting to shape up as another competing platform, although exclusively dedicated to gaming videos, I suppose. This is I think what Sekiguchi was using. Google's VR paint game tilt brush. This just looks awesome. I'd love to have a play around with this, seeing someone who can use it really well. It's pretty cool. Anyway, it's like a bit like Minecraft, I guess, and I've been kind of getting into Minecraft lately. I bought a bunch of books when I was in America, just so I can impress the lad with cool stuff. So I've been going through building guides and all this sort of stuff. This has been pretty. The focus isn't very good, is it? But yeah, I'm making cool stuff on Minecraft and enjoying that. And but this looks really, really awesome. And I guess this is the future. So getting into this. iPhone 7, this is the camera that I currently have, and it is apparently the best camera on a smartphone, so that is good to know, even though I don't really notice it looks all that different. Hey Kenji, good to see you, and yes, the shutter sound, and it is annoying as hell on the new iPhone. It's actually worse than before, so there you go. Yeah, the Engadget thing is actually quite illuminating. If you just look up Engadget Japan shutter sound, you'll find it if you just Google it. And yeah, it's a good summary that I wasn't aware of with that. What else have we got here? Michaela went back to Canada, so yes, I put that there. Oh yeah, Rochelle Kopp, 20th of October is coming back to Japan, her working effectively with Japanese seminar. If you can convince your company to do it. Also, remember you can use HIKO30, HIKO30, HIKO30 promotion code to get a 30% discount if that makes it easier. It is a corporate rate, so you probably want to get your company to pay for it, but if you show them that. Yeah, that painting's crooked, I think. Or is it just my camera? Anyway, I'm going to sort that out. You can go and see it yourself. I joined the last one and it was really, really good. Always good to see Rochelle as well. I've fallen behind totally on Japan business time just because of the new job. Yes, I've still got I've got a bit of a bank of videos done with Rochelle that I've got to get out there again. But it'll be really cool to see her, and it would be cool to set up something like a live or a meetup or something like that. So yeah, why is Phoenix saying, "Oh my God, Hiko, LOL"? I don't know. Well, there you go. Apparently 6 railway operators have launched special tourist maps in this PDF format. This is pretty cool, actually. I was able to get into the PDF for this here. And oh, wait. Why is that not letting me get to the next page? Well, trust me, it's really impressive, even though I can't zoom in on it for you. Yeah, I can't do it. But anyway, it's missing a few spots. I would have included more on there, but it goes to show Japan is just getting more and more, Tokyo is getting more and more tourist friendly, which is a great sign. It was also really interesting when I was in America to meet how many people have visited Japan as tourists, which is still mysterious to me because in my day, coming even as a tourist was kind of really challenging. It really took half a Japanese degree to be a tourist in Japan, whereas now a lot of people who don't really know anything about Japan but just think it seems cool are just coming here and they're having a great trip. And by the way, you know what? I think it's my camera. Let me see if that straightens it out. Maybe it's me. I don't know. But yes. And by the way, on the camera shutter discussion, I find it annoying as hell as well. I kind of learned how to suppress it on my old one, but the new phone it's really hard to suppress and it's annoying as hell. But anyway, good to see that Japan, a lot of people are coming over and they're actually really enjoying Japan in ways that I wasn't able to enjoy Japan, even when I was fluent at Japanese when I came here 20 years ago. It's really becoming tourist friendly and I think that's really, really great. Want to check the time and poop is in the way. Popular item in the house. Thank you, Texan in Tokyo, for that. Yeah, Japan, Spotify. I've signed up for the preview. I don't know when it's going to come. I'm tossing up at the moment between Prime Music from Amazon or Spotify. I don't know which one is going to be better. I do have an Amazon tap, which I figure, given that that's a speaker and that you can voice control the music, that's pretty appealing. Google, by the way, is going to release a competitor for the Google Echo. For the Amazon Echo, and what I really like from that, I think it's impossible because YouTube makes all of its money from clicks on ads, and it's not possible in an audio only format. But it would be really, really nice if the Google competitor, it would be actually make it a must-have item if they could make it so that you could listen to audio only versions of YouTube videos, like I could listen to Victor's videos, or just my subscriptions without the video, just a radio version. That would be pretty cool. That's And I think it's legitimate to complain about the iPhone noise or the shutter noise. Well, it's not just the iPhone though; it's everything in Japan. As I was mentioning before, how the Olympics are going, or Tokyo governance is kind of going to hell in a handbasket, and this is sort of explaining the Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics, and the Toyosu fish market are driving that. Clinton and Trump are both backing down over the TPP, and the Japanese ambassador is telling them you can't do that, but who's really listening. PewDiePie has released a game, Tuber Simulator, which has been wildly successful. I downloaded it just out of interest. It was free, and I played it for about 30 seconds. It actually looks kind of interesting. You know, you get to buy a webcam, you put the webcam somewhere. He calls you a bro a lot. You know, I don't really watch PewDiePie, so I don't know whether I'm actually like his bro or whether he just calls everyone bro. I suspect that he calls everyone bro, but it's kind of it's interesting, the game. Anyway, you get to actually be a life simulator of being a full-time professional YouTuber. I guess if you can't afford to, if you don't have enough subscribers to come to the Creator Day, which I will be starting up probably in November. Watch this space. If you can't make it to that, you can download the PewDiePie Tuber Simulator, and and who knows? You know, you might just make it that way. Yeah, Japan is still trying to get the islands back in the northeastern territories. 4 islands, the 4 islands at the bottom of the Kuril Island chain, closest to Hokkaido, and they're offering a bunch of incentives for that. It'll be interesting to see how those talks go. Shay Carl has been vlogging for like 9 years now, and he's going to be stopping for a year. I didn't actually realize he's one of the top guys in Maker Studios, which is interesting. It is kind of funny. I think that this is a hobby where a lot of people started out by kind of goofing off, and where it turned into a source of money, and so people took it very seriously. They've been doing this for like 10 years now. This has actually become the dominant part of some of these people's lives. I wonder if they ever really intended that when they started. I mean, you know, it's kind of funny. This guy's had like 6 kids apparently in the time that since he's been on YouTube. Yeah, he needs a year off, and I'd say if he's done 9 years, I mean, that's like working somewhere for like 80 years. I mean, it's the full life of YouTube. So I guess he deserves it. I never really liked his videos very much. Sorry, Sheikal, but I would say that you've probably earned a break anyway. So congrats on that. More about the Next Up program. This is from the official. In fact, this is from Tube Filter, but it explains a bit about the Next Up program, which, if you want to get more into YouTube, that's a good way to do that. New Zealand, this is why I want to leave New Zealand, because New Zealand reality TV, and this is a country where, you know, 2 degrees of separation. If any person that I meet from New Zealand, if I talk to them, we figure out 100%, we can figure out someone that we know in common. That is how small New Zealand is. I mean, it's like 4 million people, but it's a pretty tight-knit society. So I don't even understand how we managed to have reality TV. This all happened since after I left, when we only had like 1 TV show, 2 if you count the news. And now, like, the top news stories are about, you know, boring arguments that people have on these reality TV shows, which would end up in, you know, celebrity boxing matches with women, which I'm just like, I can't go back there anymore. I don't understand that country anymore. I feel more and more remote from New Zealand lately, although I might be overreacting, and I heard from some people that you learn to filter it out if you live in New Zealand, but yeah, it's just kind of crap. What I was talking about before, Google's going to be releasing its own Amazon Echo, and I'm really interested to see what Google does with it, especially if they manage to leverage YouTube with it. I think that would be killer, but I don't know if they've really got the cojones to do it. But if they do, I would love them to do that. So it's good to see all this competition around this artificial intelligence, you know, Alexa, and these speaker things. I think that's pretty cool. I'm not even joking, Kenji. I'm not. It was super lame. It was Shortland Street, a 10-year serial involving actually half of the crew of Lord of the Rings and Star Wars, and people from like the area high schools around my high school, about an accident and emergency medical clinic, and the news. Those were the only shows on New Zealand TV that were actually made in New Zealand, and people hated Shortland Street when it started because we didn't like hearing our own accents on the TV. It was so lame. Now we have reality TV. I can't even imagine having reality TV in a country like that. Again, it's just weird to me. It's probably irrational, actually. Cool YouTube stuff. Hidden YouTube features by someone who looks very, very excited. Nothing wrong. It looks kind of awkward and happy. I feel like I can relate to this person. I should probably watch this. Anyway, Charlotte recommended it, so it seems worth retweeting, so I retweeted it, although I haven't watched it yet. Mime is tweeting about what she considers to be the best town in Japan. Yahiko. I like the name, Yahiko. So yes, probably worth a watch. There's me tweeting again about the news story I mentioned earlier, where I was interviewed. Of course, ruffled some feathers, as I mentioned, but yeah, it's a pretty good article. More stuff about Inada. She's a little bit crazy. Where your batteries come from. Japan wants more women to work, but what do women get in return? Not much. Not much at all. And the whole society's already been like this for a long time, actually. And yes, accommodating women, Langley Esquire. Oh yeah, this was interesting, this ad. So I read about this, and it is interesting. It's this ad about this girl who becomes like an eel in a swimming pool, and it's an ad for farmed eel and how they're trying to take care of these eels which were captured in the wild, and they're becoming extinct. They're about to become endangered Japanese eels, and they're a very popular food. Mr. Cordyceps loved Flight of the Conchords, by the way, and they're promoting the use of farmed eel to help meet everyone's desire for eel on rice. So they show this woman, and then basically there's a commentary that goes over the top, and I kind of wondered what the big deal was. This has been shown in BBC, as it was taken down for complaints as it was creepy and sexist. I didn't really understand what the big deal could be, but it turns out, yeah, it talks about this guy talking about how he captured this girl and he fed her, and basically it sounds like someone, like a stalker who kidnapped the victim. And I mean, it ends up with her getting eaten, although they don't show that, or they kind of do show it actually. But yes, it's kind of like he fell in love with and stalked and groomed and cared for and then ate the eels, except they were a girl in a swimsuit. Yeah, it's a bit weird. It was good to be able to make my own judgment of it, and you can see it there on YouTube. Unako, yeah, that's probably bad call on that one. Yes, I can see debates going on in the comments. But anyway, Rosetta crashed into the Comet 67P at slower than walking speed, but it was enough because it made the antenna go off. But that was a pretty successful mission in spite of a lot of aspects of it going wrong. Watched some good movies on the airplane on the way back, by the way. I watched The First Man on the Moon, which was a documentary about the last man to stand on the moon. I forget what was his first name. It was Richard or something like that. It was Cernan, anyway, CRNAN. He was the last man to walk on the moon. And it was really interesting. I mean, that was always my thing when I was a kid. I wanted to be an astronaut, and it was really interesting to sort of hear about that. The two other movies that I watched were The Nice Guys, which everyone recommend. Perhaps it was a little bit overhyped, and I was a little bit too tired to enjoy it too much, but it was okay. And the other one was Race, about J.C. Owens and the 1936 Nazi Olympics. That was pretty good. Ebon Legend, you live in New Zealand and you don't like the reality TV either. Well, I can't understand how it can be good. I mean, yeah, I'm kind of morbid. In the same way, I guess some people want to vote for Trump, I kind of want to watch New Zealand reality TV just to see how bad it is, just because I'm just morbidly curious as to how terrible I'm sure it is going to be. Oh man, but we actually do it. It's kind of depressing, but it's good to hear that there's a New Zealander there in the comments who can confirm that it's it's as bad as I assume it is. What else we got this week? Wearables and oh yeah, this is kind of a big deal. So pachinko, the government is revisiting its policy on looking the other way at pachinko gambling. Let me explain this one to you a little bit. I think I've explained this before. You all know how pachinko works. Why do people play it all day? They play it all day because you put some money in, and if you're really good at it, it is possible to make money back from it. So how is that different to a casino? Well, that's a good question. It's different to a casino that you do not get money back. You put money in, but if you win really big and you get stacks of little pinballs back, you don't cash them in for money. You cash them in for these little plastic trophies and coupons. And prize, Gene Cernan, thank you for that Sergeant Booker. Herb Toko. Actually, in the 1970s, before Shortland Street, we did have a reality show, now that you mentioned it, called A Dog's Show. It was a show where dogs would compete to herd sheep. I'm not even joking. And it was prime time. It was just before the news at 6:30, and it was the biggest, most popular show in New Zealand. And I used to watch it all the time. It was actually good. It was like sport. Anyway, Pachinko, how does pachinko work? It works that you win a plastic trophy. And what do you do with that plastic trophy? Well, you can either take it home and enjoy your plastic trophy, or you can... No, stop it, Herb Toko. I shouldn't have even opened that one up, should I? So you take what actually happens though is that you will take that plastic trophy around the corner to a different shop, which is owned by a different company that will buy plastic trophies for strange prices that will basically correspond to, your winnings from the pachinko. So it's called a three company structure, which basically allows enough remoteness from the actual pachinko parlor that they don't consider it to be directly gambling. And it's this indirect gambling which allows pachinko, the whole pachinko industry in Japan, to work. Abe threatened to ban pachinko before. The Korean government, apparently, from what I understand, I've never found a good link to confirm this actually, but what I heard at the time was during Abe's first time in government, he actually had a policy of looking to register and regulate and pretty much ban pachinko-based gambling, and the Korean government asked him not to, because so many Koreans in Japan are dependent on it. It's an industry sort of known to be dominated by North and South Koreans in Japan. But it looks like they're moving forward with trying to ban it again, or at least ban the use of the little hole in the wall around the corner, TUC. It's got the letters TUC on it, a little tuck shop that will buy these trophies back, which effectively will make pachinko illegal. And it's causing some shockwaves. Most of the commenters on Nichan are completely favourable, again because of the strong association between pachinko and North Korea in particular. And I do consider it pretty ironic that Japan's imposing all these sanctions on North Korea, but half these nuclear tests and missiles being fired over Japan are being funded by Japanese gambling addicts in North Korea and run pachinko parlors. And I think Maruhan, I don't actually know if Maruhan is one of them, but certainly I've heard statistics like 30% or 40% of the pachinko in Japan is run by North Koreans who pay tithes, through the Chosen Soren to the North Korean government. And they're not going to ban pachinko directly. They're going to ban the claiming of winnings from these holes in the wall, which effectively means that it will just turn them from being something where you can make money to a video games arcade, which is effectively killing the business. So that is interesting. There it is, the little family computer, and that is going to be kind of cool. It's only going to be $50 as well. If you're in Japan, it's probably worth buying a bunch of these just to sell on eBay or whatever, just to people back in America, because it looks like there's going to be a lot of demand for this. And the Japanese commenters on each other are freaking out, happy about this. This is something I need to figure out how to get work done while you travel, because it is hard. I had a great time traveling, though. I did not do marijuana. I'm sorry about that. I know it's disappointing to some people, but I was actually quite busy working, and I didn't want to be stoned. Although next time, if there's a chance, hey, it's legal, so why not? I don't have a problem with it, but I just didn't have a good chance. Logitech has a new blogging webcam, more sensitive and low light, better sound, all that good stuff. I'm actually using Microsoft at the moment, a Microsoft Livecam, but this is considered the gold standard. This is what a lot of people use, and they're releasing a new one, so it's worth checking out if you particularly aimed at gamers. And here we go, pen, pineapple, apple pen. I saw BBC talking about this as a breakout thing. It's pretty catchy. In fact, if you watch the remakes, the covers by a lot of people, it's pretty cool. It inspired me to make some music, actually. I put a bunch of tracks. I put out like 8 loops. I made some loops without making full tracks. I put them up onto Facebook or SoundCloud, and then I put the links into a poll on Facebook, which I think is at this moment no one has responded to. Let's take a look. Let's see if anyone has responded to my poll which I put up. So if you go to my Facebook, I put this poll up. Which track should I make first? And I put up 8 tracks, and you can listen to each one of them, and they're like 20 seconds each. They're not very long, they're just loops, and I'm asking which ones I should make into tracks first. And given that this is me, I should be able to see the results, but it's not letting me see the results. But as of right now, I'm not getting much action on this, so I would like to hear which ones you like, because there are a couple of good ones there, I think. But anyway, it's kind of cool. It is always funny to see how, when the government starts to get involved. To me, what I like about this is Yeah, the twin Japanese girls. Well, they're kind of cool. I mean, I think they're cool. Yeah, thanks, Mr. Gordy Chap. That's you will be blocked. Don't worry, you will be blocked. There we go. The Chinese government, they tried to make a trendy hip song. They put a lot of money into creating a hip hop song full of Chinese people talking about how China must defend itself from Western imperialists and how China is the most awesome country in the world. It's basically a Chinese nationalist hip hop song in bad English about how we must, a propaganda rap song. And this is what happens when the government tries to do cool. The good thing about Japan is that while the government does try and fail at cool and sponsoring Cool Japan, and someone put it quite rightly that the moment the government gets into defining cool, it ceases to be cool, and that's probably accurate. Japan does a lot of cool stuff on its own, and this is a good example. China would not let something like this go out and be something that represents Japan or half of like anime or manga. But this is gone now, and this is how the whole world knows Japan, like Nyan Cat or all these other things, and China can't pull this shit, and this is why I'm glad, I would love to have learned Chinese, and it was actually my first choice. Japanese was the second choice, but it was the only one available, and I took it. But I'm glad I did, because we have pineapple, apple pen, and not propaganda, communist hip hop songs. I think there's something. There's a good point in that somewhere. The fact that Shingo from SMAP could do Shingo Mama no Oha Rock, right? I mean, people dress up in women's clothes and sing pop songs, and they become #1 songs in Japan all the time. You get kid songs make #1. Japan is just it just does the stuff on its own. It doesn't need the help, and this is a great example of that. And it is catchy, and it's viral, and that is all good. Pacemaker, that is an app I quite like. It is a Swedish DJing app, and it looks like they've made it compatible with SoundCloud. That's right, and that is what makes it interesting, and that's why I am meaning to dig it up from somewhere. I downloaded it and almost never used it, but if you can use it with SoundCloud, now I'm going to have another look at it, because it's a pretty good app. And we are now running out of time. There's hidden features in iOS 10. What else we got? We got cool energy turbines that can harness typhoon energy. Android Wear, I really like these round faces better than the Apple Watch, and I'm really hoping that they will get better and they won't have that stupid line at the bottom, but it's going to take till 2017 before they get upgraded. Google's getting into cloud, people are aligning on AI, machine learning. I don't know, there's not a lot of other news happening at the moment, so I think that's pretty good. Oh, you can check this out. This is landing in Narita if you ever want to. This is a hyperlapse that I took from the plane window. I was pressed up against the plane window, but that is about all I could do. This is what it's like if you haven't been to Japan before, even if you have. This is what it's like coming in off the ocean, flying over Ibaraki and northern Chiba. Turned a corner as we came around. We approached from Ibaraki heading south, so we did a bit of a left turn down through the clouds. It was a bit of an overcast day, you can see there, and coming into land. And yes, I quite like doing this. I sped this up about 24 times. 40 times was too much, but it was pretty smooth. As you can see coming in, there are the buildings, the hotels of Narita, and there's landing, and that is Narita. And it was cool. Yes, they imported, someone wanted to mention, that's right, butter. They imported 4,000 tons of butter. It sounds good, but not so good. Here's the thing with the butter. Thank you for posting that link and tagging me, Phoenix, and this will be the last story that I'll talk about today. I'll talk about it as I show you what it's like to leave Seattle. It was, they imported, so what they're doing is, this is basically like if you can imagine Soviet Russia importing butter. They might, no one know, I don't know where they're getting the butter from. They could be getting it from New Zealand or Britain or Australia, but rather than have that New Zealand butter being imported here and sold as New Zealand butter that I could go and buy from the supermarket, instead the government is buying this stuff like wholesale, and they're putting it on this internal market so that it can be sold and branded as Japanese butter. i.e., it's basically a collective farming system designed to protect the farmers here, and when they can't make it sufficient quotas, the government will just buy butter from the outside, combine it with the domestic butter, and then get sold between all the distributors. So the good news is that it'll help stave off shortages, which we are continuing to have. I mean, more butter queues and butter rationing, which would be ridiculous. But the problem is, the real solution to this is the government stops protecting the butter market and just allows free imports of cheap butter so that we never have butter shortages. This is a halfway measure which the government is using to actually prop up the system, the protectionist system, which means that we're not actually getting more butter or any free access to butter. They're just trying to make it look like we're getting more Japanese butter when we're not, when the Japanese farmers are failing. So I'm two minds about that. I don't necessarily like it, but there again, it is good that there's going to be more butter and there won't be any shortages, and that's a good thing. So that's it for me. We are up to the hour, so hope you're all having a good time. I will probably by this time next week have more information on the new Creator Days. My hay fever seems to have gotten better, so that's pretty good. I will have some music tracks up this week because I've got like 8 tracks which I've got to build out, so that will be pretty cool. Okay. Sometimes when Hiko talks, I look for the chord he's hooked up to. He's got one of them polymath minds. I don't know what that means, but I'm not hooked up to any chords at the moment, but certainly. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the show tonight. I hope you're a little bit informed. It's good to be back. I will be back this time next week with more information for you guys. Yeah, Venezuela's got a lot of problems at the moment, and that kind of sucks because, you know, Venezuela, I mean, you know, produced more Miss Universes, including the person that Trump has been attacking. But yeah, you know, when Venezuela is sad, I am sad. And, you know, seriously, if giving them our butter in Japan will make them happy, I say give it to them. But yes, they've got some issues in that country, which Japan has issues. I make a big noise about the issues in Japan, but there you go. Hey, Ben Duncan's mum, Mrs. Duncan, good, nice to have you watching. And join again next week. I'm here every week. I've got nothing better to do. I'm actually more awake now than I was at the start of the show, which is disturbing because I've got to go to sleep now. I've got an early start. But yes, hope you enjoyed the show and see you again soon. And look out for more cool stuff and 2.5 Oyajis next week and all that good stuff. Happy birthday tomorrow, Zach. Oh, Zach's birthday tomorrow. Well, happy birthday. Oh, that's right, 25. 25. Well, happy birthday there. 1/4 century. Look out for the hair loss. It starts in the late 20s. But anyway, take care of that stuff. Okay, have a good night, everybody, and see ya. Peace. Boom. Stop streaming.